17. My bad. So my name is Quốc Anh, and I will be moderating debate and reviewing your draft resolution and amendments. You may also come to me individually about any problems you're having in the committee. Before beginning the debate, we will briefly go over some rules of procedure. During the debate, you are to remain in your seats and speak only when you have been recognized by the chair. There will be no crosstalk. You may communicate directly with other delegates through notes, which the note passers will Motions are generally used to change the format of debate from moderate to unmoderate to voting, with the or at their own discretion. With the exception of the motion to appeal, all motions will be entertained or ruled out of order at the chair's discretion, and some motions may be followed by a vote. Points are opportunities for you to ask for clarification. Only a point of personal privilege may interrupt the speech. Use are effective during formal debate and can only be used by a delegate who has been recognized by the chair. There are two types of voting, procedural and substantive. Procedural refers to voting on motions, while substantive includes voting on amendments and draft resolutions. You may find a comprehensive guide to rules of procedure in a handbook. For now, if there are no questions, let us begin the first committee session. Chairs now look favorably upon a motion to open the debate. Are there any such motions on the floor?
Motion to open the debate.
Thank you, delegate. That motion is automatically in order. We will now conduct a roll call. When you hear a country's name being called, please raise the placard and say whether you are present or present and voting. Present and voting means you cannot abstain from substantive votes. Conduct the vote in alphabetical order. Soviet Union?
Present.
Excuse me?
Present.
Present. Czechoslovakia? France? Poland?
Present.
Thank you. Germany?
Present.
Thank you, delegates. With 3 delegates, the simple majority will be 2 and 2/3 majority will be 2. The floor is now open. The chair looks favorably upon a motion to open the GSL. Is there such a motion on the floor?
Motion to open the GSL.
At the chair's discretion, this motion automatically passes. The default speaking time of the GSL is 90 seconds. Are there any motions to amend the speaking time? Thank you, delegates. We will now conduct opening speeches. Delegates will be called in alphabetical order to briefly deliver a speech on their stance on this topic. There will be no POIs during opening speeches. Delegate of Germany, you have been recognized.
Thank you, chairs, honorable chairs, and distinguished delegates. Riddled by the effect of the World War I, by the Treaty of Versailles, and by the depression that Germany phase, this delegate believed that it is necessary that changes take place so that the whole population of Germany, which means those who are purely Germany, could have the best facility and the best country to live. And with that being said, Germany believes in taking any measures whatsoever to protect their own country from any invasion and from like the risk of having poverty, of having low living standards. And Germany will declare that she will that this delegate will try to do anything to protect their country at all costs, and this should show that Germany is very determined in this fight, and Germany is also willing to cooperate and to form strategic alliance with all the delegates in the House today, so that both the delegates can have benefits and can like nurture their young nation. With that being said, Germany would like to yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Poland, you have been recognized.
Thank you, chairs. Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates. The delegate of Poland recognizes the rising tension within the European countries recently and would like to work together with other delegates to prevent this tension from further rising and leading to an unwanted conflict. To begin with, the delegate believes that the effect of World War I have been devastating for every single country in Europe, and by preventing another war from happening, it will be a lot more beneficial for not only the people of every country, but also minorities that are currently neglected throughout. Thank you, chairs, and yield the floor back to the chairs.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Soviet Union, you have been recognized.
Dear distinguished delegates and chairs, the Soviet Union so want to come here to the table today to firstly express gratitude. So I will express support for other countries. Soviet Unions Unions after the World War One, so and the increased famine in the country. So I've seen there have been many detrimental effects and consequences. So that leads to war. So I would like to rebuild country again militarily and economically. And because of that, the delegates of Soviet Union want to ask other countries to support and help the Soviet Union so that the Soviet Union can become great again. The Soviet Union will also want to express that as it is born out of revolution, the great experiment in socialism has shown that a society can be organized not for the benefit of a few privileged individuals. The Soviet Union will want everyone to be united together, to work together, and head for a better future. The delegate of the Soviet Union would like to yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor? Chair repeats. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor?
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
Where do we see the crisis updates and stuff?
I
We'll be
think
seeing it in the same VC as meeting plan. We have to make do because currently we don't have the original Discord to work with. So please,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. The chair repeats. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor? The chair would like to notify delegates that If no motions are present on the floor, the House will automatically move into the general speakers list.
Chairs, can this delegate raise a motion? She texted in the chat. Delegate would like to raise a short moderated caucus for 3 minutes, 1 minute per speakers on the effects of on the roles of both of three. Sorry, for the role of jewels in this topic.
Excuse me, the effects of
The roles of jewels in this topic. Thank you, chairs.
jewels. May the delegate type the topic name into the chat box. The chair apologizes. That is an order. Are there any other motions on the floor? The chair repeats. Are there any motions on the floor? Thank you, delegates. We will now move on to voting on the motion to open a moderate caucus for 3 minutes, 1 minute per speaker, proposed by Germany on the topic of the role of Jews in this topic. Delegates who wish to vote for, please raise your emote. The chair believes that there is an emote to raise your hand. So if delegates wish to vote for this motion, please raise your emote. Thank you, delegates. With the overwhelming majority, this motion passes. We will now move on to the moderate caucus proposed by Germany on the topic of the role of Jews in this topic. Germany, do you wish to be the first or last speaker?
First speaker, please.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any other delegates who wish to be added to the speakers list? If delegates wish to be added to a speakers list, please type into the chat box or raise your emote or react to the motion. React to the delegate who raised the motion. She did type it into the chat box, so delegates may add a reaction or raise emote, or just type it into the chat box that you wish to be added to a speakers list. With that in mind, are there any other delegates who wish to be added to a speakers list? Thank you, delegates. Germany, you may now have the floor.
Okay, thank you, chairs, honorable chairs, and distinguished delegates. The delegate would like to stress that jewels are the cause of this depression that Germany is facing right now. And though that might sound absurd to some, this delegate believes totally believe in the purification of Germany, and that should be the only way to go out of this war. And this delegate hopes that through financial aids and through like strategic alliance, the other two countries will agree with this delegate, and this delegate would be very happy to see any collaboration effort to this delegate. Delegates can text this delegate directly to offer some. That being said, delegates would like to yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. The chair has received a text message from Delegate Slovenian who wished to be added to the speaker list, and the delegate of Poland as well. Is that correct, delegate? Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Soviet Union, you may now have the floor.
Dear distinguished delegates and esteemed chairs, the delegates of Soviet Union want to come here today and explain how much effects of the Jews has affected the World War II. Firstly, there's a large amount of Jews which had worked for both sides, as we knew already, the Jews has been discriminated. So it shows the fact everyone is like taking care, everyone is trying to like focus on the Jews, which Soviet really asked the question is that like is the Jews just a slave, so just a thing so that we can use on, so that we can use them to abuse our power, to abuse our military. The Soviet Union thinks that this is not the correct answer. So, and we really want everyone to reunite. So, I want to let Jews reunite together with the world. So, and to let the Jews come back to the world as normal as always. The delegate would like to yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegates, please be noted of your time constraints and prepare your speech accordingly. Delegate of Poland, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, the delegates believe that that the delegate of Germany is wrong to say that Jews are the causes of all the trouble and the Great Depression. The delegate believe that as a country with over 3 million Jews, Jews are the most a group of people that is most likely to build stuff and are most likely to that be able to build intelligent weapons, and so it will be a great asset to have Jews in the army in terms of that. So thank you, and yield the floor back to the chairs.
Thank you, Delegate. At the chair's discretion, the remaining time for this caucus will be absolved. The floor is now open. Are there any other motions on the floor? The chair repeats. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor? Yes.
Motion for an unmoderated caucus for 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Yes.
That is in order. Are there any other motions on the floor? The chair repeats. Are there any motions on the floor? Thank you, delegates. We will now move on to voting on the motion proposed by Germany to open a 7-minute unmoderated caucus. Delegates who wish to vote for this motion, please raise your emotes. With overwhelming majority, this motion passes. We will now move on to a 7-minute unmoderated caucus. Delegates, the time for your unmarried caucus has elapsed. Are there any motions to extend the unmarried caucus? If none, we will now move on. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor? The chair repeats. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor? Please be noted that if there are no motions proposed on the floor, we will automatically move to the GSL.
Motion to open a moderated caucus. For 4.5 minutes, 1.5 minutes each speaker. On the topic of the economic struggles that each country has in World War II.
The economic struggles of countries in, excuse me?
Set in the current state of history, basically.
Do you mean the economic struggles of country after World War One? Is that what you mean? Oh,
Yeah.
that is in order. 4.5. We have to do it in seconds. So 60 times 4.5 is 270 seconds and 9 seconds per speaker. Is this correct?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any other motions on the floor? The chair repeats. Are there any other motions on the floor? Thank you, delegates. We will now move on to voting on the procedure on the motion raised by delegate of Soviet Union to open a 4.5 minute, 1.5 minute per speaker moderate caucus on the topic of the economic struggles of countries after World War I. Delegates who wish to vote for this motion, please raise your emotes. With the overwhelming majority, this motion passes. We will now move on to the moderate caucus raised by Soviet Union on the topic of the economic struggles of countries after World War I. Soviet Union, do you wish to be the first or last speaker?
The first speaker, please.
Thank you, delegates. Delegates who wish to vote for this, delegates who wish to be added to the speaker list, please send your motions in, send your inquiries in text box. Chair repeats. Delegates who wish to be added to the speaker list, please notify the chairs in this chat box. Delegate Apollon, you have been recognized. Okay. Soviet Union, you may now have the floor.
Thank you. Dear distinguished delegates, and chairs, the problems of the Soviet Union, that has seen after World War I is firstly of the shortage of food. Because of how much Soviet Union has to spend their time, has to spend their money, has to spend the supplies, so onto such on protecting the country from a meaningless war. Creates the fact that war isn't even needed. So as the Soviet Union is such a lacking on food, such a lacking on supplies to supply for the citizens alone. Not only that, the Soviet Union also experienced inflation, so which heavily increased prices of many items, creating the citizens' lives and even the higher ranking people's lives even harder. This supports the fact that the World War serves absolutely zero purpose for the Soviet Union, as even though it gives such geopolitical benefits, but it harms the Soviet Union as a whole. And because of how and because of how poor Soviet Union has already been, Soviet Union really wanted to encourage other countries to support for the Soviet Union after such a devastating loss for the for such a tragic things of the Soviet Union. The delegate would like to yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Poland, you have been recognized.
Thank you, chairs. Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, the delegate of Poland would like to recognize the fact that Poland was a newly created state following World War One, and because of that, the country was suffered from impeccable economic crisis. We didn't have enough resources to and political strength to rebuild the country, and so the country was suffering from famine. There were also periods of wars where there were troops being deployed into the country, and this further worsened the situation. The the Great Depression in the early 1930s did not help it either, and this calls for the help from other countries to help Poland rebuild their economy and strengthen it amidst the tension arising in the continent. Thank you, and yield the floor back to the chairs.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Germany, you may now have the floor.
Thank you, Chairs, honorable chairs, distinguished delegates. Aren't the delegates so clear that the economic struggles of World War One is real? And this delegates, as the delegate of Germany, as the chancellor of Germany, believe that we should really be working towards a solution to this problem. And that solution, in this delegate's opinion, is that we cooperate. Yes, we join force. Please do reply to this delegate's DM so that we could, so that all the delegates could join in with this delegate on the effort to like revamp the economy. And this delegate also believe that once again, although it sounds absurd to other delegate, is that the duels are the cause of this problem in Germany alone. This delegate does not wish to invade in other delegates' policy, but in Germany, this delegate believes that there should be a purification of Germany. And anyways, Germany has like what 1% of Jewish anyway, so it shouldn't matter that much. And this delegate believe in the total purification of Germany to improve the economic in this country. This will be done by like re-employment, remilitarize. With that being said, I'll yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. At the chair's discretion, the remaining time for this caucus will be absolved. The floor is now open. Are there any points or motions on the floor? The chair repeats. The floor is now open. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? Please be noted that if there are no points or motions presented on the floor, the House will automatically move to the GSL. With that in mind, delegates, the floor is now open. Are there any points or motions on the floor? This is the last call. If no points or motions are presented on the floor, we will automatically move on to the GSL. Thank you, delegates. With no points or motion presented on the floor, we will move on to the GSL. The GSL is now open. Are there any speakers wishing to be added to the GSL? Delegates who wish to be added to the GSL, please raise your emotes or type on the text box. Chair repeats. Delegates who wish to be added to the GSL, please raise your emotes or type on the text box to notify the chair. Please be noted that at the chair's discretion, the chair will automatically add delegates to the GSL so as to ensure the flow of debate and conversation is maintained. That in mind, are there any other delegates who wish to be added to the GSL? If none, the chair will add all 3 delegates in alphabetical order, and the speaking time will be 90 seconds per speaker. Delegate of Germany, you may now have the floor.
Okay, sorry, chairs, honorable chairs, distinguished delegates. As this speakers list is open, does delegates believe next time we could just raise an moderator caucus seeing the limited time that we have, and this delegate is proud to be reaching out to other delegates to discuss plans that could potentially resolve this issue of the post-World War at this time post-World War repercussion, and this delegate hopes that this should bring enough economical aspects that could prevent the going on of another yet deadly war. And then chairs, is the time frozen? Oh, sorry. Just delegate apologize, and yes. With that being said, delegates would try to do her best as possible to first of all protect her peer German citizens from this poverty, and second of all, would like to once again state that she's open to any alliance that could help with this political and economical situation. That being said, delegate Yip.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Poland, you may now have the floor.
Thank you, chairs, honorable chairs, and distinguished delegates. The delegate of Poland would like to reemphasize the idea that Poland want to is seeking alliances to help protect our borders. The country is currently situated between the USSR and Germany, and both countries have a history of posing threats to the newly formed country, and would like to ask for help from fellow countries. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, and yield the floor back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Soviet Union, you may now have the floor.
Dear honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, the Soviet will also want for any countries to ally up to the Soviet Union, so as not only so that the Soviet Union is so economically so well as politically problems. The Soviet Union is always open so for anyone to ally with. I will always try to send support as much as the country so want to share the gratitude for the Soviet Union. As the Soviet Union is located so in the Europe and the Asian, the Soviet Union is quite located some of the other countries here. So I will be open for any trade. So I will be open into supporting militarily as if possible. The delegate would like to yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. At the chair's discretion, the remaining time for this GSL will be absorbed. The floor is now open. Are there any points or motions on the floor? The chair repeats. The floor is now open. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? The chair has noted that in her previous speech, the delegate of Germany has mentioned about a moderate caucus. Does the delegate of Germany wish to raise a motion to open a moderate caucus?
Yeah, okay. So this delegate wish to have like another short moderate caucus on the topic of possible possible traits for the three country present to improve the economical situation. Is that possible? For 3 minutes, 1 minute per speaker.
Excuse me, can the delegate repeat the topic name, please?
Yes, possible traits for the present country to improve the economical situation.
Their economical situation. Is the name correct, or is there any issue with the topic name? The chair cannot.
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any other motions on the floor? The chair repeats. Are there any other motions on the floor? Thank you, delegate. We will now be voting on the motion raised by the delegate of Germany to open a 3-minute, 1 minute per speaker moderate caucus on the topic of possible threats for countries to improve their economical situation. Delegates who wish to vote for this motion, please raise your emotes. With the overwhelming majority, this motion passes. We will now move on to the moderate caucus raised by Germany on the topic of possible threats for countries to improve their economical situation. Germany, do you wish to be your first or last speaker?
Last speaker.
That is an order. Are there any delegates who wish to be added to the speakers list? Please type in the chat box or raise your emotes. Chair repeats. Are there any other delegates who wish to be added to the speakers list? If so, please raise your emotes or type in the chat box. Thank you, Delegate of Soviet Union. Soviet Union, you have been recognized.
Dear, dear honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, the legalities of Soviet Union. So I want to first emphasize on how important trades can actually economically help for the countries. As trades, not only it proves that like you are willing to support another country, but it also benefits you economically. You can have like a abundance of something and you can trade it for the benefit of yourself so that you can improve the country. The possible traits that the Soviet Union is recommending here are like having like many allies, e.g. Like the three countries that are participating in this meeting to to trade each other and to help boost economic and to help boost each of another's economy while also improving and strengthening political ties within each other. The delegate would like to yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Poland, you may now have the floor.
Thank you, chairs. Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates. The delegate of Poland would like to recommend trading routes, including the trade of natural resources from Poland to other countries. The country also have some quite isolated pieces of land, and so the delegate would open the country up for any training, military training possibilities if needed, and the delegate would the delegate would open that up in return for not some further more modern armaments. Thank you, and yield the floor back to the chairs.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Germany, you may now have the floor.
Sorry, chairs, honorable chairs, and distinguished delegates. This delegate proposes the solution that delegate could trade with each other to better the economical aspect, and that trade bans that is imposed to the delegate of Germany through the Treaty of Versailles should be reconsidered and should be lifted, so that as all the delegate might know, the Treaty of Versailles has something called the war guilt trip, which means that this delegates take, or the central side, take all the blame for the war to happen, and that includes not only military limits, which this delegate believe that it is that all the delegate wouldn't be open to discussion. However, this delegate believe that economic bans should be lifted so that this war can be reconsidered. Delegates can write a directive to lift this ban to help this delegate. That being said, delegate yield to the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. The time for this caucus has elapsed. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor?
Motion for another unmoderated caucus for 10 minutes.
That's in order. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? The chair repeats. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? Thank you, delegates. We will now move on to voting on the motion proposed by Germany to open the 10-minute unmoderated caucus. Delegates who wish to vote for this motion, please raise your emotes. Thank you, delegates. With the overwhelming majority, this motion passes. We will now move on to a 10-minute unmoderated caucus. Time for this motion has elapsed. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor? Chair repeats. The floor is now open. Are there any other motions on the floor? Granted. Delegate of Italy, are you present or present voting?
Present voting.
Very good, delegate. The floor is now open. Are there any motions on the floor? Chair repeats. The floor is now open. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Please be noted that if there are no points or motions presented on the floor, the House will automatically move to the GSL. With that in mind, are there any other points or motions on the floor? Thank you, delegates. We will now move on to the general speakers list. We will be voting 1 minute. We will be voting by chronological order. Delegate of Germany, you may now have the floor.
Okay. Hi. Well. Okay. Sorry. Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates. These delegates have seen some press releases that were quite questionable, and also military movement. This delegate just want to clarify that this is purely for training purposes, and this delegate is just defending themselves from any threats that could happen this day, since Germany is at stake by many other powers that wanted to quote unquote eat Germany alive. So this delegates wants of the delegates to understand that this is not a choice, that this is not something that our delegates should worry about. It's just that this delegate is trying the best to protect this delegate's nation. That being said, delegate, fall back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Italy, you may now have the floor.
Okay. Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, the delegate of Italy would like to first and foremost express his utmost apologies for coming late, just like everything else in Italy. And second of all, the delegate would just like to state that the nation of Italy itself has been one of the birthpoints of civilizations for at least 3 times now in the past, I think, around 1900 years. Yeah. And we shall continue to do so with my amazing power. Okay, and you the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Poland has been present again. So we shall move this delegate to the general speakers list. Delegate of Soviet Union, you may now have the floor.
The dear honorable chairs and distinguished delegates. Delegates of Soviet Union, after seeing some of press releases, says we kind of confused about eliminating humanity. So as many of the delegates in this meetings has agreed, so that we should look forward, so we should look upon the for a more peaceful way, so a more quote unquote peaceful way, aka having each other alliances, so economically and politically. Not only that, even if enemies of invading other countries so is necessary, but it is also does not being similar to eliminating humanity. Any invasions will be absolutely be necessary. So if it is any means to keep tying the alliances of the trades, because the countries are heading for peaceful war, but secondly also for a war so that each country get benefit for themselves. The delegate would like to use the floor to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Poland, you may now have the floor.
Thank you, Chess. The honorable chairs and distinguished delegate. the delegate has no idea what's happening right now, and the delegate, from what they've seen in the press release and crisis updates, the delegate fully support German movement in this case and would like to open up the country's land and borders for German invasion. Thank you, and yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, delegates. The time of this general speaker list has elapsed. The floor is now once again open. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? The chair repeats, the floor is now open. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? The chairs look favorably upon motion to start any caucuses so as to encourage discussion. So with that in mind, are there any points or motions on the floor?
Motion to open a moderated caucus for 6 minutes, 1.5 minutes each speaker, on the topic of suggested solutions to ban countries together.
That is in order. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? The chair repeats. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? Thank you, delegates. We will now move on to vote on the proposal submitted by the Soviet Union to open a 6-minute, 1.5 minute per speaker moderate caucus on the topic of suggested solutions to ban countries together. Delegates who wish to vote for this motion, please raise your emotes. At the chair's discretion, this motion automatically passes. We will now move on to the moderate caucus submitted by the Soviet Union on the topic of suggested solutions to ban countries together. Soviet Union, do you wish to be the first or last speaker?
The last speaker, please.
That is in order. Are there any other delegates who wish to be added to the speakers list? Chair repeats, are there any delegates who wish to be added to the speakers list? Soviet Union, you may now have the floor.
A very weird so about a solution anyways that the Soviet Union will want to propose. So is to firstly invade any countries that is willing not to ban them together. There are countries that will not support this so that we could just invade them to eliminate them, so we absolutely exile them away from the actually exile them from the countries that want to band together. Why does this delegate think so that this is a great solution so that the meeting could come together? One is that as we are looking for a peace and as we're looking for a peace and a prosperity world, we need everyone to reunite. We need everyone to come together as one, to have to solve solutions together. So not having each of one's ways of going on their own. Not only that, having to help, they're helping each other. So will also help to improve to improve political and economic ties, further on improving a country's own. Why do the delegate also suggest to exile any country that doesn't support this? Because if we're going on different ways, then not only so that we have like different mindsets, we have different points of views, so which can really clash in together, so which can cause devastating wars. So like the entire meetings that already seen the effects and the consequences of World War I. And we all and agree to not have that consequences again. The delegate would like to give the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. Are they the floor? This caucus can entertain up to 3 more speakers. Are there any other delegates who wish to be added to the speakers list?
Germany would like to be added.
That is in order. Are there any delegates who wish to be added to the speakers list? The chair repeats. This floor can entertain up to 2 more speakers. Are there any speakers who wish to be added to the speakers list?
The delegate of Italy would like to be added.
Thank you, Italy. That is in order. Delegate Germany, you may now have the floor.
All right. Honorable chairs, distinguished delegates. These delegates have seen a stalemate in progress in this council, seeing that a lot of talks is being done, but no actual actions towards bridging peace or like cooperating with each other. So this delegate hopes that delegates would write a committee directive or write a joint directive, seeing that this council is really, really limited in people. This delegate suggests that other delegate has another unmoderated caucus after this to discuss if there should be any further movements, any further like action-based solution to this problem, seeing that there's not much being done, not much happening at the moment. Thank you, and yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate Italy, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, the delegate of Italy would first and foremost like to acknowledge the proposed motion of, suggested solutions to band countries together. However, the delegate of Italy seems to have a sort of different point of view regarding how to band countries together compared to, other delegates. Personally, Italy believes that its social hierarchy and also its racial profile is technically the best in Europe because there is nothing that is literally like it. And we think we are technically kind of amazing. So, because of that, the delegate of Italy would like to suggest some solutions to band countries together under the banner of our great leader Benito Mussolini. And yield the floor back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. At the chair's discretion, the remaining time for this caucus will be absolved. The floor is now once again open. Are there any points or motions on the floor? The chair repeats. The floor is now once again open. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Please be noted that if there are no points or motions raised on the floor, we will automatically move to the GSL. With that in mind,
Motion to open an unmoderated caucus for another 7 minutes.
for how long?
7 minutes.
Minutes? That's in order. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? Thank you, delegates. We will now move on to vote on the motion raised by Germany to open a 7-minute unmoderate caucus. Delegates who wish to vote for this motion, please raise your emotes. At the chair's discretion, this motion automatically passes. We will now move on to a 7-minute unmoderate caucus.